Today's sponsor is Audible.com, who has more than 180,000 audiobooks and spoken word audio products. Get a free audiobook of your choice at audibletrial.com/CA Telecast. This month we're recommending The Disaster Artist, My Life Inside the Room, the greatest bad movie ever made, by Greg Sestero and Tom Bissell.
Okay, hey guys, we're back and we're discussing Cowboy Bebop, Knocking on Heaven's Door. So one of the things that I wanted to kind of bring up and talk about was, I guess going back to the show, and like you said, I don't want it to be like a whole thing about the show. I guess what I was reading is that this movie takes place in between two episodes, right? I think that's what I remember reading. It's like something.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Some episode in like the 20s or something, I think.
Yeah.
But in the show, so does the show have like an overarching plot, or are they kind of like self-contained episodes?
There are like 2 to 4 self-contained episodes. But
okay.
Mostly there's one overarching plot.
Okay, so they kind of like lead. So this
Yeah.
like plays kind of into that. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
One thing I really liked, kind of visually speaking, was the world. So they're on Mars, but Mars kind of looks like a cherry-picked version of every city on Earth, which is really interesting.
Yeah.
Like I found it awesome that it was just this like melting pot of iconic things. Like I was like, oh, is that the Golden Gate Bridge, or is it just like a bridge that looks like that? And I was like, oh, is it the Eiffel Tower? Like, you know what I mean? I like that. I like the setting that this is in. I really enjoyed like that world that they were building, and you get a little taste of it in the movie, and I would hope that you get more of it out of the series. But yeah, I really liked that part of it.
Me too. I think one thing that helped drive that, it for me, it was just like Planet Brooklyn, like circa the 90s, where you just had all these fresh immigrants like moving into this one place, and there were like, and you'd walk a couple blocks and it smells one way and there's restaurants one way, and then you go a couple more blocks and it's something completely different. It felt like dude, that's a great way. Like it felt like, okay, we're in like the Chinatown, you know what I mean? And then I love the Morocco scenes.
I was gonna say, like, I was like, yeah, this feels like it felt like Indiana Jones. It felt like when he goes to like Cairo and stuff, you know?
Yeah.
It just felt like a totally different setting, and then, you know, we're in like an industrial part, you know, we're like the docks or something, you know? It felt well thought out, which is amazing.
Yeah, and the soundtrack was so good. I still listen to that one.
Yeah, I really liked all the music. All the music felt like a really bold choice. Not in the sense that it's
a cool choice of words, yeah.
Yeah, it didn't, nothing felt out of place. It felt like like music in a Tarantino movie. Do you know what I mean? It was like this isn't put here to fill in audio gaps. This is put here purposefully to invoke like a certain feeling or a certain kind of I don't know, even if it was just like a coolness. It like when Spike is like flying, trying to evade all those jets and stuff, like the song that was playing there, I was like, man, this is a great song, but it fit perfectly. It felt more like score rather than just a song placed underneath.
Yeah. And what was cool, a cool little thing that I read about the making of this movie was that the director actually flew out to all of the different places that they injected onto this planet.
Wow.
To like get a sense of like he did, and then also the composer Yoko Kanno did, to get a sense of what the culture would be like and what the sounds might be like and what the city might be like. And I don't know. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, that is really cool. I do remember the theme song for the show being Dynamite. It was awesome. I was kind of
Tank is where it's at.
Yeah, no, that's right. That is what it's called. I remember a friend of mine. This is back with like Kazaa and like Napster. I remember my friend being like, "Dude, you got to download this song, man. I'm just gonna I'm gonna download it for you, and you're gonna listen to it." And I listened to it, and I was like, "Wow, this is great." And he's like, "Okay, now I'm gonna show you what it's from." And they showed me like the intro, and I was like, "This is fantastic." I was like, it's phenomenal. It's just like perfect piece of music, perfect visuals associated with it. And I was kind of hoping for like that. I was kind of hoping for that song and maybe that sequence in this movie, but
yeah,
or something like it. I guess I guess that was kind of like an expectation that
saves
I had
for the show, man. I'd say we're all busy, but I'd say the show's still worth a shot. It's worth it's worth a shot. And I mean, it's 26 episodes. That's how I like it. Concise.
Yeah.
Good beginning, good ending.
And I'm actually really glad that you suggested this, because it's been something that is always just kind of on my film bucket list. You know, there's just movies that, and actually what's great about our podcast is like we're crossing a lot of those off as we go. Even for ones that it's really nice, because even for ones that we've seen before, it's nice to just revisit them. But yeah, like Cowboy Bebop, the movie has always been on something. I remember a friend of mine burned it for me one time, and he's like, you got to watch it. And then I think another friend of mine let me borrow the series, and I'm just a bad friend when it comes to stuff like that sometimes. But yeah, I'm actually glad we did it, you know, and it's nice. I overall I enjoyed it. I liked everything that the film tried to do. I think like a standalone thing, I don't know for me if it was very successful. It was successful in the sense that it had a plot, and the plot was fulfilled, and everything felt complete. You know, at the end I was like, okay, well, that was a movie. I'm good.
Yeah.
You know, but I guess I wanted more from the characters, and if the series didn't exist and this was just the movie, I'd be like, it felt kind of empty.
Yeah.
But, you know, there's, are they half hour or hour long episodes? Half hour, right?
Yeah, half hour.
Okay. So there's there's 12 and a half hours of, backstory for these characters that I can explore, which is really nice. You know, I mean, most movies that don't, that you get that feeling from, that's just, you're just like left with that. There's nothing you can do about it. But with this, there's a lot you can explore, which is nice. Which I think I will. I think this will be the thing that puts me into Cowboy Bebop mode.
Yeah.
I guess just I'm really curious. See, I really want to watch it. In the sense, so it was like late 90s, right? It's 98 is when the show came out. So I'm starting to wonder where the influences, so where the shows drew influence from, and then what pieces of media past that have, since it's come out, have been inspired by Cowboy Bebop. Do you know what I mean? I've been trying to good
question.
Yeah, I've been trying to connect these dots. For the better part of today, just trying to think about all these things. Like I mentioned, Firefly. I feel like that's when did Firefly come out? I don't know if that was. I feel like Firefly was before Cowboy Bebop TV series. No, not the Firefly Festival. I don't want to go to that. Why can't I see a date on here? Oh, 2002. So this is post something for us. So I wonder if that, I wonder if Firefly was inspired by this. It's got that same kind of setting. The episodes that I do remember took place on the show, on the ship, which is the Bebop, right?
Yeah.
So, a lot of Firefly takes place on the ship. So I wonder if that was kind of
that would be amazing to find out.
Yeah, yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I've just been like piecing like that, and like anything with like Western space. Like I've been thinking about like, like obviously like the Blade Runner is more like a noir kind of thing. So I wonder if that was an inspiration for this, and then I guess even like, I don't know, like not like the Matrix. I don't think that's, well, I guess parts of the Matrix are like influenced from that. Yeah, I don't know, but something to explore from. I guess I'll have to bust out a timeline and really kind of compare things.
I just know at the time when that had come out, I hadn't seen anything like it. I hadn't seen anything dip into so many different themes, or like marry so many themes that seemed like diametrically opposed to each other,
Mm-hmm.
And I hadn't seen it. I hadn't seen a story told in that way. I mean, specifically for anime, I had never seen anything like that didn't involve some sort of like supernatural power or like tiers of power or
right. I think this was one of the first animes that I remember being set kind of now in kind of our world. Do you know what I mean? Like I remember watching like Macross and I think they aired Gundam on Saturday mornings when I was a kid or something like that. But that always felt like the distant future in space. There's bad aliens and we got to fight them. This always felt, I don't know, I guess like Akira felt like that too. Akira always felt in the very near future rather than in the distant future. And even like Dragon Ball, was always felt like a long time ago, but then had like new technology. So it never like hit close to home. And I guess maybe this is like kind of the closest thing that was on my radar at that time. Were you really big into like anime? Like, did you watch a lot when you were younger?
When I was younger, I watched some. Usually whatever was on Adult Swim.
Yeah.
I would seek out some other stuff because I had friends who were super into different stuff, but I would. I don't know if I was in as deep as other people were, but I definitely always liked it. I definitely always liked the style. I was definitely always like super into the style, super into like the way that stories were told and like the humor and I think mostly the art was pretty cool.
For me it always, go ahead, sorry.
No, I was just gonna say the art, like just the way that everything is, at least from what I watched, was always like over the top or like really, really clean. I enjoyed that.
Everything for me always connected on like more of a visual sense. When I was younger, Sci-Fi would show anime on, I think, Saturday mornings. Like they would show like an anime film. That's how I got exposed to like Akira. I remember this one called Eight Man, which is really cool. But I always wound up focusing on the visuals because I hadn't seen anything like that. Like the closest thing I had seen to anime before that, like it always felt like kid action cartoons. Like the intro, like the opening theme always felt very anime, and then the rest of the show was not like that. But like that was like kind of the only way I got exposed to it. Like I saw Akira. A friend of mine showed me like Ninja Scroll like on VHS. And then when Cartoon Network started showing Dragon Ball, that's kind of how I got exposed to that. But even then, I didn't really get too far into it. Really, I only watched like the Frieza saga, basically.
I guess that was the one to watch, really.
Yeah, I guess so. Maybe I did see the other ones because I remember Vegeta coming down when he wasn't like a good guy. So I guess I did see a lot of that. Yeah,
there's some cool stuff. Like I guess all the ones that I always ended up liking were the ones that like I could never watch, like One Piece or like Ranma and a half, like the ones that are like 100 something episodes. It's like no, give me a story that has a beginning and an end and effort.
Right.
And for that, I remember getting into one. It was through Adult Swim, of course, called Fooly Cooly, and it's
Oh
like
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
think it's like 7 episodes. And essentially what it was it was just supposed to be a concept. It was a concept show, a short concept show, because a bunch of artists were teaming up and trying to learn how to use like new like anime facing like computer graphics. So like
Okay.
they had all these amazing, stunning, like colorful visuals, and they what they did was they created a 7 show anime that's a metaphor for what it's like to be a boy going through puberty.
Wow.
And
Okay.
like
Interesting.
I didn't know that. Like for the
So that wasn't like a
majority,
theme that you picked up on watching
I
it.
didn't pick up on that, but the moment I did, it changed everything. And it was
Yeah, like,
actually
look back.
really cool. Like it had so
that's
much
cool.
heart, you know, because see that was one where like they didn't over explain stuff. Like it was so yeah, it was like in its own regard, it was like this art house thing. And yeah, even now I kind of have feels to go back and like watch that because yeah, they went about it in a really cool and interesting way.
Oh, that'd be cool. Yeah, that sounds awesome. I remember someone talking about that, and I remember them loving it. So yeah, that might be something to explore. That'd be cool.
Yeah, dude.
I was curious what you thought. The title. So the title is "Knocking on Heaven's Door," and so as the film was kind of like wrapping up, I was trying to think like what that title is kind of alluding to. Like Vincent says something about the door, and he says, and they talk about. That's kind of like what leads Spike to Vincent is that he wanted to be close enough to touch heaven. Was that it or something? Something like that. I was just trying to figure out like what the kind of the title is like alluding to. Like I didn't know if I should be focusing it just on Spike. Like is it because like of how close Spike comes to death? Like twice throughout the show.
He like straight up gets shot and thrown off
yeah,
a train.
yeah. I didn't know if I know. Like he gets picked up by like I was going to say
It's like, the Native American got him, so of course he's okay.
I mean, but they wouldn't even be Native Americans. They'd be Native Martians.
Right.
Yeah. So like I was just like, is it for that? Like it can't just be about Spike. Like there's. For as much as like I picture him as the main character in this, he's not really the main character. It's kind of divided,
right?
Pretty equally. So I didn't know if it was more about Vincent's struggle, and then I started thinking about like, is it, they're talking about this biological weapon and these like nanomachines like replicating human things. Was it like just being too close to playing God? Like I didn't know if it was like maybe it has like all of these kind of meetings underneath, not just
in my head. I guess it's interesting. I never really thought about it. In my head, the subtitle always made sense because it was sort of like everybody's flirting with death. Like everyone's on the brink of death in this thing. Like even the extras, like even just the people in the city, because at any moment those nanomachines.
Yeah, it could just
over.
like go away at any point.
Yeah, and everything that involves like distributing them or like saving people is life threatening.
Yeah, it was. Some of the military guys. They just seemed kind of like inept. They were just like, we don't know what to do. We're just not players in any of this. I don't know if there was maybe like a message in that. Yeah, it just made me laugh. Like I remember there was one part where this other military group comes in and they're like having like a pissing contest about whose like jurisdiction it is to take care of this. It felt kind of out of place. I didn't know if that was like a running theme throughout the series or anything. Like, do they have like encounters with other like organizations or anything, or are they just kind of do like Spike and the crew? Do they just like operate on their own?
They operate on their own, but Spike and Jet both have a past. So Spike is a part of the Red Dragon. He used to be a part of the Red Dragon Crime Syndicate, which is like,
Oh, okay.
yeah, it's like this independent, like, that's essentially where he got all of his like combat experience and stuff. Which, by the way, oh my gosh, I loved the way they drew combat in this thing. How like,
Yeah.
it was how I don't know, how do you even describe everything? It was so draggy, right? Like, because really the frame, this was like 15 frames per second, this anime, right?
Yeah, it felt very fierce, and then
Yeah, that's the
time
word.
time would kind of like stretch and dilate on parts to like emphasize. Like it almost like the combat, the fighting in this movie almost felt like a sentence structure. You know, it felt like
Yeah.
blah 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 and blah 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 but comma
Yeah.
blah 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 blah. You know, it just felt like it felt like words and writing in the sense of that pacing I got. It felt like, I don't know, there wasn't like a consistent beat to the action or the punches or any of like the fight sequences. It just felt very like, it felt freeform, but it felt like there was some kind of structure there. I don't know. Like, I'm not
Definitely.
familiar enough with like jazz to like compare it to that, but if I don't know, it felt like something like
it
that.
was sort of like this improv thing. Anything could happen
Yeah.
at any moment, you know? It was just really raw. Like,
Yeah, and I don't know if like maybe because of the bigger budget, but it felt like camera wise, nothing felt like locked off. It felt like the camera was like always kind of moving. You know, it felt like there was like a lot of movement throughout, not even just the fight sequences, but just throughout the film in itself. It just felt.
that's another thing that nailed it. You would always have this sort of like, in dramatic moments, you would have this handy cam, or like, if there was going to be like a pan up to the sky, before it wouldn't just pan straight up to the sky. It would sort of like push like to the left and to the bottom and to the right a little bit. Like, it would just sort of like do this wave, and then like inertia would pull it up, you know, and then pull it back down. Like, there was, I don't know, there was just like a great sense of gravity when that was another thing that I really liked. Like, visually, I loved how much they invested in setting up each scene to make it seem as if it were shot by a camera, which is a really powerful thing, right? Because when you get creative with an actual camera, it allows you to have diverse shots. When you're drawing everything out, you can pretty much do whatever you want, but I find it interesting that they still rely on camera. They still decide to use camera-like conventions, even if you pay attention. Like, they use depth of field, where like they'll draw things on different layers. You know what I mean? But then also, for example, in the beginning of the movie, where Spike comes out and he kicks the guy who's guarding the convenience shop in the face, like, instead of showing him doing this super awesome majestic kick, they just show his like, foot lift up, and then the shot of the guy's like first person view, like thrown up in the air, and like
they did that a few times. I thought that was really cool. Like that's something you don't really see, like the POV. And then at the end, when Spike is fighting Vincent, there's like a Spike POV shot when he starts to see the butterflies, and they take some to the gun and stuff. So you don't really see that. I mean, I can't really speak for any animes, but like, it was an interesting, like, in a medium where you can draw anything, and for me, in what I am exposed to in anime, it feels like, let's just show whatever's coolest. You know what I mean? Right. So some like restraint and I guess like choices have to be made about like what is the best way to convey X message or X motive. So even in like that dogfight sequence where, you know, with the jet and stuff, it could have just been like, well, let's show this because this will be awesome, because this will be awesome, because this will be awesome. There was some really great stuff. It was, you know, Spike is flying in his ship, and he's got like that like lance at the bottom that has, it like shoots. They're flying over the water, and it shoots this like beam out, and it could have just been like this crazy weird shot, and you could it could have just been this whole thing. But it like, okay, he's shooting that to shoot the water up into the air as like a way to like lose these guys and have them kind of like crash. It was purposeful and done well. It could have just, I don't know, it could have been much more extravagant, but it was restricted, and like great choices were made for to show that beat, I guess. Yeah, good stuff, man. Way to go,
overall
Watanabe.
I guess my kind of takeaway on this was that going back to this movie was refreshing, because I noticed a lot more about the work that went into the visuals that I hadn't before, that I really liked. Narrative wise, I definitely I kind of have the same assessment as you, where I really wanted more, and I was a little bit disappointed with just knowing how much material they have to work with, and knowing how good they are at like story building. The team rather. It was disappointing to see that there wasn't much to the heroes of the story. It was nice to see them sort of unpack Vincent's situation, and maybe part of the reason why they felt the pressure to do that was because it's the first time we're really seeing him. Like ever, like even for them, they sort of had to build it out. And maybe that's where kind of the oversight was, or if unless they were intentionally like really just trying to leave the characters that we know as they were. And amazing combat stuff. Really
visuals
cool
are great,
soundtrack
man.
stuff.
Yeah,
It's just a really good world. I think I'm just mostly in love with like the world that was built, and not so much the story, but the world that it takes place in seems really cool. And I'd like to.
Yeah.
I would love to. I mean, I would definitely pay to see more of what that world is like, or to see like better told stories from that world.
And maybe that's what this movie was to kind of serve. Like, I guess the series had kind of come and gone, and maybe this was like, hey, let's go back in there once and just see kind of what things are like, and kind of expand on that a little bit. So as someone who hasn't seen the series, like I don't know if this was the best jumping in point, but at the same time it was entertaining. It was I think it was a good taste of what the show is, but from what I hear, the show gets a little more kind of deeper, and the things that we liked in this in the movie seems like the show kind of like builds on that like times 100. Is that would that be true to say?
Yeah, that's true.
Cool. So maybe this is just kind of like a nice like appetizer to get into that. Because whenever like someone talks about a TV show, like if a friend of mine is going to start watching Battlestar Galactica recently.
Okay, cool.
And I was like, look, the miniseries is great. The miniseries is interesting. It's you have to start there because that's the first episode. But if you just get past that, it's kind of confusing. But if you can get to this episode, the first episode of the thing, or I think it's maybe the second one, it's called 33. I was like, if you're not hooked after that episode, you might not want to keep watching, because that's what like the show becomes.
Okay.
So
got it.
So I wonder if like this is like a good start. Maybe this is like the Battlestar Galactica miniseries version of Cowboy Bebop. And there's an episode early on that'll really get me like hooked in. So,
dude, that reminds me. Have you ever watched Louie at all?
Louie, like Louis C.K. Yeah. I watched. I watched the first 2 seasons, and then I think
that's been me this past week. And because they're on season 5 right now, so season 4 is on Netflix, and I started watching.
Oh, nice.
I actually finished it last night, and I'm so sad that it's over.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's not related to anything we're saying. It's just so good.
It's a super good show. I really like that show in the sense that it's a comedy show that doesn't have to be funny all the time.
Yeah.
They take a lot of really big swings that land
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it.
Yeah, I remember there's an episode. Oh man, he goes over to play like a USO show, and it's not very funny, but it's poignant, which is nice. You know, it's yeah, he definitely takes a lot of risks and makes it makes it really interesting.
And even now, like if you ever reach season 4, the show halfway in the season takes this crazy turn that you're just not expecting. And
Interesting.
And that whole thing where we were talking about show me, like he does that in this really impactful way. Like it just leads me to believe that no matter how much fame or attention this guy gets, none of it stops him from wanting to be disruptive or to do to do uncharted things, at least like in his writing. I'm not one for hyperbole, but I've loved that show so much because it's in my opinion, it's the most honest show on television. It's just so brutally honest and so not so not fabricated, and it's also the one of the more accurate depictions of what New York is actually like.
yeah, dude. And it's like super good. Dude, you know he like they shoot it on Red and then he like edits it on a MacBook. Like
wait, really? Wait,
yeah, I think
I knew that he was cutting. I didn't know. Okay.
Yeah, dude, I read this interview with him and he's like, yeah, they dump all the Red footage on, they like down convert it, and then I edit the show and then give it back to them, and they like up convert it after the fact. But like he does, I think the show is like edited by him. Like I don't know if it's still like that. I remember early on that was like a big draw for me.
His hands
like, wow,
in everything, even the soundtrack.
Like,
I was looking up the soundtrack, and they don't have it out yet. It's coming out soon, but like they showed photos or whatever, and like the band was like, "Oh yeah, he's super involved in everything." Like,
dude, that's great, man. That's the kind of thing that like,
that's what you want.
Yeah, dude, that's the way. If I was gonna do something, that's the way I would want to do it. I want to have like a say. There's something to be said about hiring the right person for the right job and the right tool for the right job.
Right.
But you know, when you want it a certain way, man, you just gotta like grab it by the horns and just do it. You know, you just gotta like go for it. And I'd super respect that. But yeah, I've always wanted to like do like I've always wanted to make a film in that style, in the sense it's very like I don't know, just like raw. You know, I feel like the show is very raw and like
it is.
the pacing is just at whatever pace it wants to go. It's not like dictated by, I know, like I know it is dictated by commercial breaks, but it doesn't feel like, okay, well, here comes the setup for the big punch out and big joke and commercial. You know, it doesn't feel like that. It feels just, this is how this, it feels like a film. Every episode to the ones I've watched felt like a 30-minute film, you know, that I was watching with commercials in the middle of it.
I totally agree.
Let's make some stuff like that, man.
Yes. Oh yeah, by the way, I have to send you I forgot, just because I literally haven't even been able to touch it. Hopefully next month I'll be in a better place. I'll send you this. I have to send you the script of what I'm working on.
Oh, cool, man. Yeah.
So for we're still on the podcast.
Yeah. Dude, I forget.
We're still recording.
I'm just talking to my friend about
yeah.
We're gonna do. I like when we get wrapped up in moments like that.
Yeah. Okay, so the next thing. Okay, so there.
So the next thing.
Yeah, you gave your final set thoughts, and then those. Were
I enjoyed the movie.
Thoughts, so
As soon as it ended, I was kind of like jammed up this week, so I didn't get a chance to watch it until today. So you're kind of getting my fresher kind of like thoughts on the thing. Yeah, exactly. So I actually I finished it, and Rebecca, my wife, came in and she's like, "What'd you think?" I was like, "This is interesting. I have some thoughts on it. I feel like I got to watch it again because I don't know if I was just lost on some of it, and I don't know if part of it was because not having a familiarity with the series." Prevented it, but I'd like to watch it again and just kind of like pick up on some of the nuances. One thing I did notice is that
the film goes to like the end of the credits, like the credits play over the film basically.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a scene with Spike at the end, and I was like, oh, that's cool. Like in a post Avengers world, like it doesn't feel like a post credit scene. It just felt like the movie goes until then. This is when the movie's over, because he has like a revelation on it. It doesn't feel like any kind of secret. It felt like part of the film, which was cool. And it was cool to see that sequence mirrored in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I like put like the first 10 minutes on again. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. That's good. Now that I know all that information, it's nice to like watch it again. So I think maybe that's what I'll do tomorrow. Just kind of like watch it a second time.
See what
but yes, super enjoyed it. So, for our next episode,
Hype.
We're going to do something
Get hype.
A little different. Yeah, get hype. I keep saying we're going to do something a little different, but like at this point, so this will be episode 11. Coming up next will be episode 12. I don't really think that we've had any kind of like normalcy to be like, we're going to do something totally different. We're kind of doing, we're kind of doing
something
we're
new
kind
all
of
the
doing
time.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're doing new stuff all the time. So we have a sponsor for the show. It's audible.com. And it's cool because you can get a free audiobook by signing up for Audible. It's pretty sweet. It's a great thing. So, to kind of like talk about that, something that we talked about early on that I remember mentioning to you, Satchel, would be cool to do would be to watch a movie. And because the thing with Audible, you can get a free audiobook. We could listen to an audiobook that has to do with the movie. So we could talk about kind of both of these things. So I recently started listening to this audiobook, and I went on Audible, and it's available there. So here's kind of like the plan, and here's what we're going to do, guys. The next film that we do is going to be The Room, directed by Tommy Wiseau. And in conjunction with talking about The Room, we're also going to be talking about this book called The Disaster Artist, My Life Inside the Room, The Greatest Bad Movie Ever Made, by Greg Sestero. Greg plays the character Mark, I believe, in The Room. So this is his like firsthand experience working on The Room. So The Room is like a terror bad movie. Like it's notorious for how bad it is. And I didn't want to do a whole thing where we just like harp on the movie for being bad, because it is bad, and we could have some laughs about it, but I kind of wanted to like deconstruct it on a different level. Like, and I always said that you can watch any movie and take something away from it, take a positive thing away from it, even if that most positive thing you can take away from it is like, that's how you should not make a movie. And I mean, that might be the positive thing that we take from talking about this movie, but I feel like listening to the podcast or listening to the audiobook in the little bit that I have, I feel like there's a lot to learn from there and a lot to talk about with the film and to really kind of like analyze it in both those senses. So if you guys would like to play along, if you guys would like to listen along, it's a great book. I'm really digging it. But if you go to audibletrial.com/CA Telecast, you can sign up for Audible and you can download The Disaster Artist for free. You get a free audiobook. Or you can pick from, they have over 180,000 other audio programs, which is insane. I'm on like a super Audible kick recently.
Me too. I think it's just like, I was closed to the idea for a while because it seemed like this whole, I don't know, I guess I had to like just shake off the ignorant traditionalist that was like, oh, but the book, the thing, and the feeling of the whatever. And then it was like, really, I just care about the content. I really just care about the content. And getting super into podcasts like opened me up to that. You know what I mean? Where it was just sort of like, well, actually, I've been changed and thought about a lot of different things and grown a lot by listening to podcasts over the past like 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
I can just listen to an audiobook. It's just a long form podcast, man.
Yeah, it's great. And it's my wife and I, whenever we go on like a road trip, like we've driven across country, we would just load up on like audiobooks and like, kind of space out. Like let this audiobook take you on a journey as you're taking a journey. It's awesome. And when I used to commute to like school and work, when I had like a really long commute, like audiobooks were like there to like make it great. Like I listened to like Tina Fey's book, Bossy Pants. It was
So great. I mean, Tina Fey's from Pennsylvania area, so represent. Super awesome. But yeah, so next episode is going to be about The Room. We're also going to be talking about The Disaster Artist, the book about the making of The Room. So we would love for you guys to join us, and we'd love to listen to the audiobook because it's really, really funny. The guy Greg, he does an impression of Tommy Wiseau.
Okay.
So whenever he has like dialogue, like in his interactions with Tommy, he does like the Tommy Wiseau voice, and he's like, "Oh, come on, Greg, please!" Like he does it, and he does it really good. It's really, really funny. So we will be discussing that next, and we can't wait to
guys,
see you there.
Watch it so we can and be sure to drop all your questions in the subreddit.
Yeah, please do. It's at reddit.com/r/Cinephilia Anonymous. And we'll read some stuff there. You know what? Let me do a quick. I saw a really good review I want to read real quick. This is from Bartley Neuro. A much needed colloquial spin on in-depth cinema discussion. Nick and Satchell do an amazing job traversing the subtleties of the cinematic medium in a way that doesn't come off as pretentious, but rather chummy and intelligent. Oh. They are highly receptive and respectful to each other's opinions, motivating the listener to seek deeper interpretations of cinema without fear of judgment or persecution. In this sense, every conversation feels like a night with friends, whether it's the diner talk after the movie or those exploratory late-night conversations before falling asleep. My movie review suggestions would be Primer. I love that movie, so maybe we will do Primer. And that's from Keith from Philadelphia. Thank you so much, Keith.
Dude.
Good guy.
Yeah, man, that was super nice to say. Although just a little bit inaccurate. All of Nick's opinions are garbage, in my opinion.
You know what? I was like self-fighting with myself. I was like, Satchell made me watch that Cowboy Bebop anime stuff, and I hate that stuff. And he's going to be like, oh, it's so good. And I'm going to be like, I hate it. And this is going to be the last episode we ever do. No, man, it's like we have disagreements. We have varying opinions on things, and it's just so happens a lot of times they align, and it's kind of nice.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Maybe you be a little more confrontational with me, Satchel. Maybe that.
Maybe I will be.
Maybe you will be.
Maybe I will be. Maybe I'll be a little bit of a contrarian. just to spice things up a little bit, just to add some Chipotle to this.
Yeah.
To this conversation.
You just start like questioning. I really like this scene, and you're just like, did you?
But was it fine? Was it actually fine?
Was it actually a good scene, Nick? You tell me. All right, Satchel. All right. All right. Well,
guys, thanks.
We'll see you guys next time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Be good.
See ya.
Peace.